Hello everyone, I'm here today with my good friend Tobias to have a chat about Starcraft. Now, Tobias here has been on a bit of a Starcraft odyssey over the past month, so I think we should start out by let us know who you are and what you've been doing in the world of Starcraft to try and improve your skill.
Hello, my name is Tobias, and in the past month and a half or so, I I've been seeing if I could get to masters pretty fast, and I think I've done a quite good job so far at least. But yeah, I'm quite new to the game, ranking up pretty fast, and
So how long have you been playing now? Is it just that month and a half?
I started out just before the new expansion of the game came out, the Hardest Form expansion, and it has been out for about a month and a half, so just over a month and a half I've been playing this game, yeah.
And what was your original goal when you started out? Was it just to reach Masters, or was there a set time frame that you were trying to do it within?
When I began, I had an idea that I wanted to be platinum within the first month of me playing the game. I asked around with pro players if that would be a possibility, and they said if you're really good, that might be possible. And I was like, I'll see if I can do that. And after about 2 weeks or so, I was platinum, and I was like, that was too easy. So I'm just gonna set me another goal. And then the next goal was diamond within a month, and I did that, and now I've been diamond for around 2-ish weeks or so.
So, I've known you for a little bit of a time, and you told me previously that you're not really a fan of real-time strategy games. But clearly you've taken to StarCraft here in quite a big way. So, is there something specific about this game which you find particularly engaging and makes you want to get better at it?
In general, I find the multiplayer experience really catchy, and whenever I find a game that I can play at a high level against others, I actually quite enjoy that. When I was younger, the only kind of RTS plays I ever played was like Age of Empires or so, and they never really caught me because I wasn't really fighting against anything and I didn't really grasp the game. So back then I actually just had a mindset of RTS being a little bit boring because of my previous experience with it.
So things like battling against the AI and how it's all quite easy when you're fighting a computer, but here in the StarCraft world you have a continual challenge of other people.
Exactly. The point of not just sitting there with yourself, but actually sitting against another human being, I find quite a lot more fun than I'd imagined before I started playing Starcraft, at least.
So there's quite a few games which sort of encompass that idea, be it Battlefield or Call of Duty or Dota, or any games where you're in a competitive environment against other people. Is there something specifically about Starcraft that makes you like it more than those other games, rather than an FPS or something like that?
I've played an FPS game before, but I tend to get bored with them very, very fast because it's a lot of the same. When you're playing StarCraft, there are so many strategies and so many different things you can do that you never actually get bored with it in the same way. You can play a lot of different ways, and I think that's probably what makes me still play the game, because I tend to be very fastly bored with games.
So do you spend a lot of time coming up with new strategies and developing new ways to play the game, or is it more an act of refining strategies that you enjoy?
So far, because I've had these goals for me to do, I've been playing other strategies and refining them to the point where I think they're the best. But at this point I feel that I should probably start doing my own strategies to kind of incorporate the gameplay that I want, and that I feel that I can play the best myself to go on into the Masters Leagues, which I'm looking forward to do.
So do you think that being able to sort of think creatively and develop your own strategies will be the key to jump from Diamond into Masters, rather than just, say, copying pro player builds?
I'm not saying it will be the key, but I do think that if I would, for example, be looking at one pro player who has a different playstyle than myself, I won't be gaining as much as if I would make my own build that would be able to give me the same kind of advantages without the negative advantages of not being able to play as well as he is because of me having disadvantage of not wanting to play the same way he does.
So is that to do with your style being different, or just not necessarily be able to execute their build at the same high level?
It can easily be both. If you see somebody who's playing with 400 APM and has 10 times better micro and macro than yourself, you'll be like, holy shit, how is he ever doing that? And you will simply fall behind. On the other hand, if you like to play very defensive minded and passive and then just like macro up, and you take builds from somebody who likes to be very aggressive and just all up in the enemy's face, then you won't be able to gain the same kind of thing from their builds as you would if you just made your own. I feel, at least.
Because you don't have all the mental energy to divert to the different parts of it.
Yeah.
That's sort of it, or the speed of fingers. So, Starcraft has a quite a highly developed competitive scene. Do you find that's a big advantage for improving your own play, being able to observe the pros, sort of thing?
Yeah, I do. I feel that watching streams and watching tournaments has helped my gameplay a lot, because simply by looking at others who know what they're doing and knows how to play the game, you will be able to see how they macro and micro and manage to get around the game, and I feel that that's been a huge advantage for me, at least.
So is there any specific, so when you've come on this journey from bronze to diamond, are there any particular training techniques, as it were, or ideas which have helped you all the way through with regards to possibly examining pro player replays or learning from casters or streams or anything like that?
I myself happened to find a Zerg streamer when I was new to this game, and I have watched every video he has on his YouTube about build orders and how to play the game in general, and I really owe him a lot of thanks to being able to play the way that I do today. And I do believe that if you want to play the game on a higher level, you should find the race that you want to play, and then find somebody who explains the race for you in the beginning, and then you will be able to learn the mechanics of the race yourself a little bit later on, and you'll be able to do the best possible way in your race, I feel. Yeah.
Okay, being attacked by Hellions a bit here, it seems.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hellbad drop that gone mad.
Well, there's new units in Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, there is. Some
So
people seem to be having quite a big problem going from the Wings of Liberty units to the Heart of the Swarm units, but I never had that problem because I didn't play a lot of Wings of Liberty. So the transition from Heart of the Swarm to Wings of Liberty came natural to me as well.
yeah, I've heard people describe StarCraft to chess in many ways, in that you have these set units with a set number of things that they can do, and it's very intellectual. Now, chess only has a set number of pieces, and there's no chess expansions. And I've been wondering, what does the idea of additional units do to the game? Do you think it's improved the game or made a completely new game?
I think that the Heart of the Swarm improved the game in many ways. Also in the sense that in Wings of Liberty, the competitive play was pretty much completely figured out. If you saw a streamer or a professional gameplay in Wings of Liberty, for example, Zerg vs Zerg, you knew exactly what unit composition they were both going for, because the game has been ongoing for so long time that you simply knew what was going to happen, and everything was figured out to the best possible way. And that is why I felt that Heart of the Swarm came in the time that it came was a very good thing, because every matchup was simply just getting a little bit boring to watch, I feel.
So do you think that strategy games such as this, these RTS games, have a limited lifespan before they get figured out, and that they will always get figured out in the end?
I believe that with the amount of pro players playing this game, I do believe that every matchup will be figured out, and will simply come to the point where it can't have a lot more development to it. So at that point, you know that Roach is good against that, and Hiders is good against that, and Lynx is good against this and that. So you know that if you see one thing from another, one thing from the one player, then you know you will see this thing from the other. So I do believe that at some point in the game, there simply is not a lot you can do left.
So does that mean that for the future of competitive esports, if Starcraft wants to remain a sport or even develop into a greater sport, that it would need to continually reinvent itself in this way to stop from getting stale?
Well, Wings of Liberty was out for a lot of years before Heart of the Swarm came out, and I think that the amount of years that it will take for them to make a new game, it will also take the same amount of time for people to figure out the matchups at this point. So I don't think that it will be a problem for them, because it can easily take years and years, but I do believe that there's a reason that people aren't playing Brood Wars anymore, and that's simply because it wasn't being renewed, so it wasn't really viable for competitive play in the end, really. I do know there's some players who still play it, but most people has transitioned to Heart of the Swarm.
Do you think that essentially the complexity of StarCraft is a bit of a barrier to spectators who might want to get into the game but don't necessarily play it themselves?
Do you mean like it's hard to figure out what's happening if you don't play the game yourself, or?
Yes.
I do think that it's the case in StarCraft, but I also think that it's the case in many other games, such as League of Legends, such as Dota, for example. If you don't know what the heroes are capable of, you simply won't be able to set yourself into the mindset of what is good and what is not good. So you definitely need to have quite a wide knowledge to being able to actually know what's going on. But I think that it is like that in many strategy games.
How do you think that compares to quote unquote normal sports? Your football, your basketball, your baseball, whatever, the more mainstream sports. Do they still have the same barrier to entry, or does it make esports more difficult to get into?
Well, I think that it is completely up to the sport itself. I myself play American football, and I know that the rule book is about 5 centimeters thick. And if you don't play American football or really set your mindset into learning all the rules, you will have no idea what is going on the field. So I do not believe that is unique to esports, but I do think that esports has many games with that in it, because there's a lot of strategy games out there.
Now, you mentioned American football. Do you think that its popularity is at all affected by, you mentioned the complex rule book, and maybe if it was easy to understand, more people would watch it? I know it has quite a big following already, but that could potentially be increased.
Well, I know that it's biggest in America, and I think it's going to be hard for them to actually get it across the globe more than it already is, simply due to the fact that the Americans are the one who plays it, and they have played it for centuries, and they're not like other cultures haven't really adapted to the sport.
So it's more that it's just quite American centralized that's preventing people from getting into it, not necessarily that they don't understand it.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, with regards to back to esports, particularly in the world of StarCraft, it seems to me that although the games themselves are very important, equally as important as the games is the personalities and the styles of the casters who are doing the commentary for the game. Do you think that's unique to esports, or is that more common than we might think with regards to normal sports?
Well, I can tell you that much, that in Denmark we have these pretty incompetent people casting American football, and whenever I actually watch American football in Danish television, I normally mute the sound because they're so stupid to listen to. So I think that it's quite important in every sport that the guys casting it actually know what they're doing and knows how to cast well, because I think the caster is equally as important as the game itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you wanted to bring StarCraft as an esport into mainstream culture. Do you think the key would be to have either perhaps more relatable casters for the mainstream populace, or perhaps to make the rules simpler, or what do you think might be a suggestion there?
Well, I think Starcraft is in the same kind of stalemate that American football is, that it's amazingly huge in Korea, and the culture over there has adapted it, and it's pretty much the where it lives, it's in Korea, like American football is in America. So I think that it will be hard for them to actually make the transition into worldwide and make it a lot bigger, just simply because it is more culturalized over there. And yeah, like
Okay.
many MOBA games is more culturalized than in Europe, and I think that games have their place in the world, and that's why I feel that it's going to be hard for them to transition into other kind of games.
Right. Back to our original topic of moving up the leagues.
Yeah.
Let's jump back to that. So, as you've been progressing through bronze, silver, gold, platinum, have you noticed, is there a particular league where you've noticed the greatest skill gap?
Yeah, definitely. That skill gap is biggest between gold and platinum, I feel. Whenever I play unranked these days, I still play against gold league players because my MMR in unranked is still very low because I don't really play it. So whenever I play against them, I can pretty much take whatever race I want to play, and I still manage to win the game. I feel that in Gold League the skill is very low due to the fact of people not playing that much. But I don't feel that there's a big difference in bronze to gold when I look at it, but I remember playing it and I felt like bronze players was equally easy as I felt that when I was gold, the bronze players were equally easy as gold are for me now.
Right. Now you mentioned that you can choose whatever race you want, and I once heard someone say that in order to get to gold, all you have to be able to do is spend all your money and macro effectively. So do you think that the skill level in the lower leagues is more about general rules and macroing and producing units rather than your race?
To be honest, I feel that until platinum, low diamond-ish, all you have to do is being able to spend your minerals. If you look at my minerals right now, I'm sitting about 700-800 at this point in the game, with 5 hatcheries going on, a little bit oversaturation on my natural here going on. But I'm at 200, so at this point, I haven't been flooding too much. Of course, now I'll be starting to flow with minerals because I'm maxed out in units. But I do believe that until diamond, it doesn't really matter what you are, how well you play the race, as long as you know the mechanics of macro. If you can spend your money, you can easily go up the ranks.
What do you think is the main key to learning how to macro effectively?
Play the game.
Well, yeah, you mentioned that you've been playing for about a month and a half now. How many games have you played in that time?
I'm sitting on around 650 at this point, which I do acknowledge that it's quite a lot, but with my goals in mind, I just wanted to play the game, and I really had a lot of fun doing it. So I easily find a very big difference in my gameplay and then a lot of others. Yeah.
Well, that works out at about 10 to 15 games a day, approximately.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel that if you played less games, or essentially played less often in the future, that your skill would go down? Or do you think that now that you've learned it, it's in there?
Well, it's definitely not like riding a bike, in the sense that once you know it, you'll never unknow it. If I stopped playing the game in total, I would definitely go down in skill, because skill needs to be maintained. It's like a lot of other sports. If you don't keep running, you will get out of shape. If you don't keep playing Starcraft, you will get out of shape. It's just about keep playing, and yeah.
Do you still get supply blocked?
I do. I do still get supply blocked sometimes. But I feel that the point where you don't get supply blocked in the game at all is in Grandmasters League.
Right. And how long do you expect to take to get there now?
To Grandmasters, probably a good amount of months, but I do believe that I'll get there.
Right. And if there was, we're just gonna sort of wrap it up now.
By the way, back to how to play the game.
Yeah.
In general, if you look around the screen, his side of the map, you'll see that his main has no minerals. Yet there's 5 SCVs standing in the mineral patch. His right refinery has no gas left in it, but there's still 3 SCVs there. There's an SCV at the armory to the left of it, and an armory to the right of it at the natural, and a pretty damn huge amount of SCVs there, which just leads me to tell that he's not very good at macro gaming. He only has 2 bases after 26 minutes also, which is an incredibly low amount. His medevacs and his Vikings is hanging in the middle of the game, also for no apparent reason. And I do believe that flaws like that will make you end up losing the game in the end.
Is there any particular pearls of wisdom if someone else wanted to also try and fulfill this goal of getting up to a platinum or diamond or a high league in a short space of time? Is there any particular advice that you'd have to give them?
When on the lower leagues, don't focus on your micro. Whenever you're going to fight, you should just keep on having your hatcheries, building units, having no mineral patches being unmined with units standing next to them. Like, always focus on your macro in the lower leagues. Micro doesn't really matter at that point. Micro only starts to matter in the Platinum League. Before that, you can pretty much just A-move your units through the others. If your army's bigger, you'll win.
Alright, and your army will be bigger because you've been macroing effectively.
Exactly. So, yeah, just macro in the lower leagues. Macro will come when you start playing the game, and of course you have to play the game.
Of course, and quite a lot it would seem, but I have absolute confidence in you that you will reach Masters, if not Grandmasters, in the near future. What are you at the moment? Top 8 Diamond?
Yeah. I was ranked 1 yesterday. About top 8 now, I guess. Top there. In there at least. Somewhere in there.
Okay then, well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And
yeah, you too.
I hope to do some shows in the future.
Sure thing.
And best of luck on your epic journey.
Thank you.
Alright, bye bye. I really don't like your Ultralist skins.
They're awesome, man. They're awesome.